Hi guys, so welcome back. This is the continuation of volume 12 part 1. We're now on volume 12 part 2. And I stated in volume 12 part 1 that I started smoking and drinking heavily, and this became a frequent thing, as I said, because now my ex, who was my partner at the time, was encouraging it, and he too was doing all of that smoking and drinking, and it was like a routine for both of us as we were indulging in these sexual perversion things. I started falling on my grades in university. So in year 1 of university, I was getting very high grades. My grades were good until now, year 2, when I started getting much more involved with his lifestyle, trying to please him. I started focusing more on where I can find girls to satisfy his urges rather than focusing on my lessons in university. And therefore I started falling on my grades. I did not even really care. I'm waking up late, I'm going to lessons late, I'm falling asleep in lessons, I'm on phone when I'm supposed to be in lesson, trying to find girls and all of that. It was really bad. Yes, I was working like a pimp, like an escort or something, without getting paid. Not being an agency, but getting it for my own man at the time. You know? So again, as I said, school became the back burner, and it was no longer my priority. My priority was to satisfy my ex-partner's dark, gruesome, sexual, nasty desires. And as of course, I am to be blamed too, because I entertained it. I was trying to facilitate it in many ways than just one. Yeah. So it reached to a point where we started getting involved with not just one woman at a time, right? 3 SUMS, 4 SUMS, 5 SUMS, 6 SUMS. Yes. It was deep to that point where 6 SUMS was involved in our house. We have females coming over, even some of his exes that he had sexual relations with, like back in those years before we met. He introduced them, and they were coming in. They were even bringing girls that they know over to the house. And we were indulging, we're drinking, we're smoking, and we're doing all of these things. And it was real bad. Yeah, that's how far gone I was in sexual perversion. Yes. So sometimes my ex would gone for 2 weeks at a time. So the job that he was doing, it caused for him to work away from home for 2 weeks or sometimes a month. But of course, that man would be on the phone calling me, ensuring that, yep, make sure you are doing this, make sure you're doing that, because again, remember I told you that he was very controlling and manipulative. So there was nothing that I could really do per se. Of course, he would still be watching me even when he was away. What happened was, so every time he would be coming home, he would want me to now find him females. Find him females so that they could greet him, give him a nice welcome when he comes home. Yes. And I would have to ensure that I facilitate that. And I was always, trying to think, oh my days, who am I going to get? I'm calling around people. He's sending me girls' numbers, who to call and try to coerce them into, coming. And the thing is, what I realized when I look back at these things, I didn't even realize that I was running some major sexual health risks. And thanks be to God, God was protecting me from catching any form of disease, because the things that I was involved in, I could have catch or contracted some form of sexual disease that are incurable, HIV, all of that. But thanks be to God, thanks be to God. I have to give God the glory, because he protected me. And when I look back, I just know that God was always in it with me in terms of guiding me. Of course, he's not going to encourage any form of sexual perversion, but God allowed me to realize that, listen, this was not enough. Loads of time, of course, he encountered me, and I still looked past it. Why? Because I was heavy on the drink, I was heavy on the smoking, and I knew that I was getting convicted to stop, but I kept on continuing. Why? Because I let this man manipulate me into reminding me that this is his thing and he loves it, he enjoys it, is his little enjoyment. And when he goes to work and he works so hard, this is the thing he wants to come back and see and enjoy. And I would be like, okay, yes. And because he was paying my rent, he was paying my bills, he was doing all of that. It's his bills too, because he was living at the house. But I thought, okay, those things is okay. It reached to a point where we started running out of women. So what we had to do now was I found myself have to join on Plenty of Fishes, and him too. He was on Plenty of Fishes and tagged. Who would have their man be on these different dating websites when you're in a relationship with them? You wouldn't have your man or your woman in that. But I was so blindsided to the manipulations and the control from this man that I looked past even all those things. And I too join in trying to find women on tagged Plenty of Fishes and all of those dating websites. It became that bad. Yes. Of course, I could not do anything without his permission. If I wanted to go out, this man was so controlling to the point where if I wanted to go out, I would have to get his permission and I would have to go out and come back in at a specific time. Yes, because he would be calling my phone and I cannot miss a phone call. If I ever miss a phone call, the lectures that I would be getting, and the accusation. Yes, the emotional manipulation was so bad because if I miss his phone call, say I was in class and I'll miss his phone call, even if I tell him I'm in class, yeah, but you always answer me even when you're in class. And sometimes they can't answer because depending on what is going on, sometimes they can't answer. And I said to him, yeah, I know, but sometimes I can't answer. You would start telling me, oh, it's because man was there. Listen, the emotional manipulation was bad. To the point where I'm saying, why do I have to be explaining myself all the time that I am not doing what you keep accusing me of doing? Yeah, but he still continued because he realized that it was a tactic. And when he gets into that mood, he knows that, okay, to get him out of that mood, I'm going to try to find him some girls and send him over the girls and, tell him that, okay, when he comes from work, this is what he's going to come to. He's going to come home to. So he knows that this was a tactic that could catch me as well because I was trying to please him. To the point, even my own friends that I met in university, if we wanted to go out to, I'm 19 going on to 20. I want to go enjoy my life a little, with my university friends, outside of his lifestyle. I wanted my own lifestyle too. I don't want to just go to work and then come back home and go to uni and then come back home and then have to be dealing with his lifestyle all the time. Even that he had a problem with, to the point where my friends kept saying, Shay, this man is so controlling. Like, why? They were trying to open my eyes to see the controlling of this man, but I kept saying, it's because he loves me. I couldn't see it myself at the time. I was so embedded in love per se. So, however, after so many years of indulging in this kind of lifestyle, smoking, drinking, having 3-some, 4-some, 5-some, 6-sums, and all of these sums, right? I started to grow tired of it. I started growing tired of it. And remember, I was with him for 6 or 7 years. After about 4 years, it became like on the 5th year. So the 5 years of us in a relationship, my stomach started to grow sick of him. But I kept on staying because he was paying my bills. Yeah, he was taking care of me. In that time, the control, the manipulation, all of that increased even more. Yeah. So there was just one day where it became so bad where I was subjected to embarrassment. I remember one time I went over to one of his friends that he introduced me to, and I was doing my hair. This man was at work and was trying to coerce me into speaking to this woman. Mind you, he knows this woman long before I did. And he knows that this woman is not into those kind of lifestyle. But this is how this man even let me embarrass myself. This man forced me into, asking this woman if she would want to join us in our nasty acts. The woman said, no, you're crazy. What kind of nastiness is that? Listen, the way I shame. I was so embarrassed. I had to leave instantly. Mind you, I went there for her to do my hair. Was it for my hair? No, I was spending some time there, like, friends, and because, I'm in a different environment, sometimes you're bored, and I would go there. Mind you, this was going to be the first time I'm going to ask her this, and I've always been at her house and everything, cook, clean, whatever, chill. She have children as well. So I remember when I said it to her and she embarrassed me just like that. And said, what kind of thing that your man is going to say to ask me? Like, your man knows that I'm not in those kind of lifestyle. What kind of thing is that? And I was like, oh my days. So from that day now, I decided, no, this is not my life. Now I'm at the age of 22. Now, because when I broke up with him, I was 24. So now I'm at the age of 22. So I've got 2 more years with this man. Living in turmoil, those 2 years, and you guys will see. But yeah. So backtrack a little. Yeah, I decided, no, this is not my life. This is it. That gave me a wake-up call. That embarrassment gave me a wake-up call, because what am I doing? So now this is where I felt into depression. Because I felt into depression, I wanted to facilitate this man's lifestyle to keep him happy, not realizing that I was only deteriorating my own health to facilitate his. I became so overweight as well because I started binge eating. So I was eating my feelings. That was my comfort at the time. And I put on so much weight. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Crying. I was constantly crying. I was never happy. I became so unhappy. I'm always arguing on the phone with this man, like every day. When I tell you that me and him was in an argument, to the point where the next door neighbors used to bang on the wall, like I was that loud. And it's everywhere that we moved to after that, like the neighbors would have issues with us because we became so vile with each other. So we started to become physical with each other. Yes, that's how bad it got with me and this man. And I started to grow hatred for him, but I still remained there for another 2 years. Because why? I did not even know what I wanted. And I thought that he was the one I wanted, but he was not. This man was out to kill me. And then he started using the fact that, oh, I'm educated, that's why I'm using brains on him. That knowing that the man was using brains on me all along, manipulating me. And I started seeing it. At this point, I started seeing it. Even when my friends that were telling me, I started seeing it for myself. Then in 2017, I went to Jamaica, decided, no, I need to go treat myself. I need to go Jamaica, honestly. And so when I went to Jamaica in 2017 to go treat myself, I literally met back up with my first true love. When I met up back with my first true love, we decided that we're going to start back a relationship again. So we went back out in a relationship. Mind you, we had already broken up when I was 18 in 2013. After I came back from Jamaica. So I haven't seen him for that length of time of that years. So of course, me going back now, it was like a rekindle. And he was my comforter. It was just like I didn't left in the first place. And he was comforting me. But at the same time, I was still dating the man back in the UK. But he didn't know what was going on. But I had to use my first true love as my comfort at the time because I was depressed. And every time when I'm in Jamaica with him, it was like a breath of fresh air. So stay tuned, guys, for volume 12, part 3. If you only trusted